Yeah, well, I don't care what Jerry Bruckheimer says. He needs to get down to my office, or he's gonna get a little of what I learned in high school. Good old-fashioned beating. Yeah, bye. Hi, I'm David Tomlinson, owner and general manager of Hollywood. Sorry I can't be there for the mini reunion at Gary's house this weekend. I really would have loved to have been there and reminisced and seen all your faces and talk about the good old days at Parkwood High School Drama Department and all the plays and fun we had. But since I can't be there, I thought I'd make a video and reminisce with you of some of my favorite memories of those days and bring it to you that way. Before even coming to Parkwood, I was going down to school down in Neosho. I was just a little guy in the 6th, 7th grade. And I already had the acting bug even then. I had done a few high school productions there, and one of them was called Christmas Pageant. Story about a little elf working for the man up at the North Pole. But I also did a couple of other plays, Almost Summer and Summer Tree, actually. And the drama teacher there was Susan Barnes. Gary, I don't know if you ever knew her or not, but she was a really lovely young lady. And she used to entertain us by putting lit cigarettes out on her tongue. So I knew then that theater people were special, with special needs. And I knew I could be one of those people. And before coming up to Parkwood, I went to see a couple of the productions that you were doing. Hello, Dolly, Man of La Mancha, My Fair Lady. And I remember really being so blown away by the caliber of those productions. They were just amazing. And I remember, like, the cast, as we always did, we'd run up, they ran up to the front of the auditorium and greeted everybody as the, audience was coming out. And I always thought that was such a great tradition. And I think that's pretty much the time I met you, Gary, otherwise known as Mr. Roney in those days. And I probably also met a couple of the other kids that were in the shows there. I imagine I met David Lowe around that period. And David was just fabulous as My Fair Lady. He really was. So when I got to high school and I started Parkwood, Gary really took me in right away, and which is more than I can say for David Patterson, who really gave me 9 kinds of shit that first year. But all the other kids like Sheila Ballard and Todd Belk and Mark Smith, Margaret Seidler, David Lowe, Pat Tuttle, that poor kid who lived down the road from me, Barry Martin, and Julie and Amy Russell. They were really just such great kids and had such a great time with them in those early days. So that first show that we did, it was that review show, and I played dueling banjos with a guy named Greg Young as best we could. And I remember, I think it was Pat Tuttle who kind of talked us into just throwing in another number without really telling anybody. Just after dueling banjos, we just decided to do another one. And it was called Grandma's Feather Bed. And so we did it. And I remember coming off stage afterwards, and you kind of pulled me off to the side and gave me one of those famous beatings that you gave to so many of the kids over the years, as I'm sure we all remember. And but we didn't mind. We didn't mind because we were where we wanted to be. We had no place else to go. It was all about, please, sir, may I have another? So then came Cyrano de Bergerac, and it's a story about a chunky pastry chef has a friend with a big nose, and that was played by a fellow named Mark Smith, we all remember. And I remember this really pissing off David Patterson, because he didn't get a role in that play, and he gave me a lot of crap about that. But anyway, I remember in the big final scene, the scene of Cyrano de Bergerac, you know, it's the big death scene, and Rogano is there at the scene, and he's kneeling, and Cyrano is dying, and it's just such a great climactic part of the play. And I remember thinking, you know, suck on this, David Patterson. And so that was great. But so then came Fiddler on the Roof, a story about Avram, a Jewish bookseller who lives in a village with other Jews, and namely a guy named Tevye, who was played by David Lowe. And there's also another character, a young sniveling dumbass named Perchek, who was played adeptly by Barry Martin, and then a real serious douchebag named Lazar Wolf that was perfectly cast with David Patterson. And so anyway, Fiddler on the Roof was a tale of Jewish life and struggle, and really a perfect play for a bunch of kids at Joplin, because about the only thing we really knew about Jews really was that apparently they had killed Jesus. And another thing, all the guys had to wear beards, and you know, personally, my underarm hair hadn't even come in yet, and so I had to glue mine on. And back in those days, we used some kind of caustic, corrosive acid-based glue for the beards. I remember just really enjoying that a lot. But one of my fondest memories from that show was during the big tradition number where all the men, you know, are grouped together and we're singing, you know, who night and day must scramble for a living. And my voice hadn't changed yet, so I'm kind of singing mine an octave higher, which later people came up to me and told me was really cute. And but anyway, we're all singing there one night, and Mark Smith is in the back, and he's, you know, we're belting this out, and David Lowe, you know, kind of turns to me and out of the corner of his mouth says, you know, Mark's breath could gag a maggot. I remember that was a lot of fun. And also, you know, a shout out to Pat Tuttle during that, because I remember he just played that light board, you know, like a concert piano. I was always really impressed by that. And in all seriousness, that play was really, I thought, a really awesome play, and it was an honor, really, to be in that. I learned a lot from you, Gary, and everybody else in that show. So the following year was Showtime America, and it was a fun little play with a lot of great little skits and acts and songs. And I remember looking at the program recently, and there was a shitload of songs in that thing. Maybe we could have cut out a few. But anyway, I did a little number, Singing in the Rain, with a ukulele. And then after that, Margaret Seidler came out and sang Button Up Your Overcoat, and she's kind of sexually molesting me, and that was, you know, awesome. And thank you for that opportunity. But I also remember the whole 50s segment, and I played in the Sock Hop Band, and you know, I think I sang Splish Splash, and my friend Steve Patterson did an Elvis thing, and David Lowe sang Crocodile Rock, which really wasn't from the 50s, was it? No,